Welcome. I hope you're all having a good Friday wherever you are in the world. So, today, what we're going to be doing is looking at a few things. First of all, I'll be answering all your questions, whatever questions may be. And yeah, I'll be going through my wildcard draft for those who are wildcarding. And I think it'll be interesting to see, anyways, because you'll be able to get an understanding of which players are the best to own over the next 4 weeks. So I think looking at a wildcard draft is useful from that perspective, anyways. So yeah, let's get into it. Go ahead and drop all your questions into the chat, and let me just make sure that the stream is running well in the meantime. Okay, and welcome into the chat, guys. Okay, it looks like the deadline stream will be starting. Cool, we're good to go. Guys, welcome in. Yeah, like I said, we're going to be looking at a few things. First of all, this is my team on the screen. As you can see, not the best. Not the best. I mean, there's a few issues which I will touch on. If you haven't watched my video today, I kind of discussed my transfer plans, but I would say I'm 99% locked in, barring some random occurrence. Yeah, I'm going a bit differential this week, but I'll get into it. For now, I want to answer your guys' questions, so fire away. Getting us started is Ed Luss. Evening to you too. Is Palmer to KDB a good move? I think it's a good move, actually, yeah. I saw some people with Palmer on their wildcards, and I get, you want to get in a player that no one else has that we know is a good FPL asset historically, over the past 2 seasons, more or less. But he's just not in good form. Chelsea have the Conference League. I think Palmer to KDB, that's a great move. I'd definitely go for that. Alice Escobedo, good to see you again. Welcome back. Thank you very much. Hope you ate lots of Texas barbecue. Yes, I did, actually. Good that you remembered. Yeah, I was in Texas for like a week and a half last month. So yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, my brother lives there. He plays in the MLS over there. He plays for Austin FC. So I got to go over there, watch a few of his games, one home game in Austin and another in Houston. So that was brilliant. And of course, Alex, I got to eat a lot of Texas barbecue. They do it. They honestly, no one does it better than them. It was amazing. Abbas Rihan, afternoon from Toronto, mate. Well, good to have you. Good to have you. It must be nice and hopefully nice and early over there, or midday thereabouts. So yeah, welcome to the stream. Good to have you. Keith Wan, hi, love the content. Thanks very much. Mbumo/Bowen versus Watkins/Wissa. So for me, I would go for Mbumo, but if you're chasing rank or people in your mini league already have Mbumo, Bowen is the next best thing. Watkins versus Wissa. I see a lot of Watkins love. Personally, I actually think Wissa is the better pick. I'm going to go out and say it. So yeah, I would go for Mbumo. Unless you're chasing rank, go for Bowen, and then I would go for Wissa over Watkins. Deluxurious says, hi mate, hello. Have a defense of Raya, Diaz, Konsa and Munoz. Would you consider any defensive transfer for a -4 or hold? I would definitely hold there. I don't think a defensive transfer for a -4 is worth it necessarily. Jeevan Gill says, hi, hello to you too. Sar and Mateta to Mbumo and Wissa for a -4 to keep Saka. Mbumo and Wissa are definitely better than Sar and Mateta. I'll go ahead and say that for sure. If it means keeping Saka, I don't know, is it worth it necessarily? I do think Saka is an okay sell. I honestly think he's an okay sell. I know people are wanting to hold him for that Southampton fixture, but who knows? He could get injured before then again. He could have a flare-up. So I would say, yeah, I would go Saka to Mbumo. And then I would hold Mateta. I wouldn't do him out for a -4. I think he's an okay hold this game week against a really shaky Forest defence. They've been quite shaky recently, and the data backs it up. So yeah, I'd hold Mateta. Simon Scans says, is Rashford and Saka to Mbumo and Bowen for -4 worth it? Yes, it is. I love those transfers. They're great. Yeah, Mbumo and Bowen, the top 2 transfer targets this week in my opinion. Marv FPL, hello. Hello to you too. When would you play triple captain? Also, would you play Jacob Murphy or Kluivert this week? Thank you. So I would play triple captain. I actually still have my triple captain chip, so I've put some thought into this. I'm pretty set on going for Marmoush next week. I'm pretty set on that. I did say in my recent video that I posted today that I would go for Marmoush. There's a lot of options in Game Week 36. There's also in Bumo, I believe he plays Ipswich away, and I know Wood plays Leicester at home. So there's some really good picks next game week, but I do fancy Marmoush or Kevin De Bruyne against Southampton. And your other question, Marv, was would you play Jacob Murphy or Kluivert this week? Let me just get a quick look at who Bournemouth are playing Arsenal. Yeah, no, I would go for Jacob Murphy. Yeah, I would, over Kluivert. I know Kluivert has the penalties, but Jacob Murphy's data is much better. Okay, continuing on through the questions. Who the captain, says Nitin Desai. Top 3 choices. For me, my top 3 choices in order are Mbumo, Marmoush, and then Salah. But I do also love the Bowen and Isak pick. So those are my top 5 in order. I'm probably going to captain Marmoush. But I'm so tempted by Bowen, honestly. I need something to save my year. Save my rank. So, moving on. Jeevan Gill again. Mbumo and KDB for Sarr and Saka. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I actually really like those moves. Even if it's for a -4, they're really nice. Abbas, Mateta to Wissa. Yeah, listen, Mateta to Wissa is something that I considered. I just think Mateta this week is a hold. I don't see the need for doing it. If it's for free, then yeah, I would do it. I would definitely be considering it. But how much does Wissa outscore Mateta by this week? That's why I'm not suggesting anyone does it for a -4. Robert Simic says, have Raya play Saliba or Munoz? Let me just double check again. Sorry, I'm forgetting all the fixtures, guys. Who do Crystal Palace play? They play Forest at home. I would go for Munoz. You know, spread the risk a bit. He's a much more attacking player than Saliba, so you always have the chance of an attack and return from him. Yeah, if you already have Raya, I would go and play Munoz over Saliba, because we know Bournemouth can score for sure. Okay, next up is Varfiel. Says Saka and Rashford to Mbumo and Bowen for a -4 would mean benching Rodgers. Yeah, definitely go for it. Love those moves. Even for a -4, I love it. And if it means benching Rodgers, yeah, Mbumo and Bowen are top picks. Oh, Paddy O'Callaghan, what is the crack? Start Rodgers or Murphy? Ooh, that is a tough one, actually. That's not an easy one. Because obviously Rodgers plays Fulham at home. Murphy plays Brighton away. Oh, that's so 50-50. It depends, you know, do you have any Fulham defenders? Do you have any Brighton defenders? I'm guessing you maybe don't, you know. They're not very popular. I know I've literally got 2 Brighton defenders, but that was for my bench boost back in 32. And they did nothing for me there, just FYI. Yeah, I have a feeling I like Murphy. He's just in great form, and Newcastle are in great form too. What I would say is Newcastle are just a better team than Aston Villa right now. So I would go for Murphy. That's my reasoning there. So yeah, I'm not sure how many Paddy O'Callaghan's there are, so I hope it's actually my dear friend. Okay, moving on. Daniel G. George, Munoz or Livramento to start? I'd go for Munoz. Yeah, I'd go for Munoz there. Jun Tao says Murphy, Eze or Rodgers to Bowen and bench who? So Murphy, Eze, Rodgers. I would be. Well, that's a tough one. Maybe it is Rodgers, because I quite like Murphy and Eze. So yeah, and then bench one of them. It would be benching Murphy or Eze. I'd probably be wanting to bench Murphy there for Eze. Yeah. Ravinda says, hi Stephen, hello to you. I got Raya and Areola, Munoz, Kiwior, Gvardiol, Konsa, Nico Williams. What's the goalkeeper and 3 defenders you recommend? Okay, I like these kinds of questions. Definitely Raya. I mean, I wouldn't be playing Areola. Between Munoz, Kiwior, Gvardiol, Konsa, and Nico Williams. Definitely Gvardiol. So then the other 2, yeah, I would start Kiwior, just because Arsenal are such a good defense defense even, and I do think that they'll start Kiwior with Saliba. I think they'll play both centre backs. So far I'd say Raya, Kiwior, Gvardiol, and then probably Munoz. Yeah, that's what I would go for. Varfiel, start Rodgers or Mateta? I'd start Mateta there. He's got an easier fixture and he's on penalties. Yeah. Andrew Barton, hey buddy, hello to you. Would you start Asensio or Marino? Oh, that's a tough one. I would probably start. Asensio, I think. He probably has a... Does he have a higher likelihood of starting? Maybe not, but yeah, I would say probably Asensio, because Marino always has the chance of playing in the midfield, in the three in the midfield, and I'm just not a fan of when he does that. But we know Asensio is going to be playing forward, so that's my reason there. Start Asensio. Daniel G. George, Munoz or Livermento? I think I answered that already. I'd go for Munoz. Nitin Desai, start Sarr or Murphy? Oh, I would start probably Sarr. I honestly think Forest defense has been so poor recently, and we've just seen it with the data as well. Yeah, they really kind of are a team to attack at this point, so I would start Sarr there. Also, Crystal Palace are free flowing in attack at the moment, so I like the look of Palace attackers. FPL Hawk says, who to bench of Rodgers, Sarr, and Mateta? Don't have Eze. Between those, I'd probably bench Rodgers. I like starting Sarr and Mateta there. Like I said, go for that. Go for the Palace attackers this week, I'd say. Alex says, what to do with Savinho? Could move to Bowen or KDB. Already getting Mbumo. I would go, between Bowen and KDB. I just really like Bowen this week. Yeah, I'm getting him myself. I think he's a safer pick than KDB as well, because we see that Haaland is coming back into the team, and that will affect, whether we like it or not, it probably will affect De Bruyne's space in the team to some extent. So I think Bowen is a safer pick, and he's quite a spicy pick too. Both of them are differentials, but I like the Bowen shout, especially if you're already getting Mbumo. Dark King says, Captain KDB, yes or no? He's definitely worth considering. There's so many captaincy shouts this week, so you can really mix it up, and yeah, we know De Bruyne, we know what he can do. Parvez Robin says, I have Wildcard active. Who should be the best forwards? I have bench boost available too. So to answer your question, these are the forwards that I picked on my wildcard draft. Isak, Marmoush, and Wissa. Definitely Marmoush and Wissa. And I feel like Isak is he's just Isak, we know what he's going to do. People have been saying, he's not been in great form recently. He's got 2 goals in 2 games. Like, it just shows you what we expect from this guy when we're saying he's not in great form, but he's got 2 goals in 2 games. Like, Isak's got to be in there. And Newcastle are flying. They're doing so well at the moment, and we just know that they're gunning for that Champions League spot. There's a lot to play for. I think that would be my preferred top 3. Okay, moving on with the questions. So I lost them here. Okay, Juan Manuel Vasquez, good to see you again. Here from Spain, how went it in Austin? I need an assistant manager. Which is your recommendation? Yeah, it went really well in Austin. Thanks for asking even. Yeah, it was good. Got to see my brother, got to see his family, watch a few MLS games that he was playing in. So yeah, had a great time. Lots of barbecue. To answer your question about assistant manager, I think Pep is the go-to this game week. Followed by, I would keep Pep for 35 and 36. And then I'd probably want to switch to someone like Potter in 37, just to get a bit of a table bonus opportunity there. Jeevan Gill, is Mbumo and KDB for Sarr and Saka worth it for the hit if I can just start Rodgers instead? I'm chasing in my middle league by 28 points. I do think it's worth it, even if it means starting benching Rodgers. Mbumo and KDB is just such a great... They're both great transfers in this game week and for the rest of the season. So yeah, I would go for it. Offside Footy F1, good to see you again. Bench 2, Munoz, Saliba, Burn, Milenkovic. Raya is your goalkeeper. Okay, so if you have to bench 2 of those, unfortunately I do think Milenkovic has to be benched. Nottingham Forest have been so uninspiring recently in terms of their defensive performances and also kind of in the attack as well. So definitely bench Milenkovic. Between Munoz, Saliba and Burn, it's between Saliba and Burn who to bench. I would say, we did just see Burn bag a header in the last game, so it's hard to say to bench him. And Newcastle are obviously flying, and Brighton aren't really flying themselves. I'm kind of talking myself into starting Burn and benching Saliba and Milenkovic. That way you still have the cover with Raya as your goalie. That's what I would say. Let me know what you thought though. I want to hear it because you're always in there. You're obviously very clued into the FPL sphere. So what was your initial reaction of who to bench there? Batter AA says, what do you think of Saka and Mateta out for Mbumo and Watkins for a -4? I don't think Mateta is a sell this week, and definitely not for a -4. That's my opinion. Obviously, I've got him in my team, so I have put some thought into this. I think it's a good fixture this game week, so it's not worth it for a -4. Adam says, worth doing Savinho to Bowen for a -4? I would start Savinho or Sarr if not. Oh, okay. See, the thing is, I would start Sar over Savinho, definitely. I think it's a good fixture for Sar. I think this fixture is a good fixture for Crystal Palace attackers, so it's probably not worth the -4. I'm always against -4s, and I'm actually, that being said, I'm literally taking my first -4 of the season this game week. I'm going to do a quick little poll for you guys. In fact, let me, can I do that poll now? Okay, I'm going to say Bowen and, let me, right, this is basically my transfer options that I have this game week. Which duo to transfer in? So I'm going to say Bowen and actually, you know what? The question basically comes down to, I was going to ask Bowen and Mikolenkovic, or sorry, Bowen and O'Brien versus Mbumo and Mikolenko. You know, it's basically like asking Bowen or Mbumo, and it comes down to what your rank is. So I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to continue answering your guys' questions for now, though. Let's see. So Varfel says, will we be over 100 EO on Mbumo? I think that's very likely. There'll be a good few people captaining him as well, and he's the most transferred in player this game week for sure. 123. Would you sell Rodgers for Bowen and bench Elanga for Murphy? Rodgers for Bowen? Yes, I would definitely do that. I would get Bowen in. And then Elanga for Murphy. I'd probably start Murphy. There. Batter, what do you think of Saka and Mateta out? Oh, I think you already answered that. FPL Hawk, we need a differential triple captain soon, buddy. Still hope of Villa double 36 if the fixtures get moved. I don't think there is hope. Maybe I'm in the wrong, but I know they haven't completely confirmed their the time of the game, but I'm pretty sure we know that it's not going to become a double. Yeah, I think that at least is confirmed. So no more double game weeks for the rest of the season, unfortunately. That is unfortunate. João Pereira says, why not captain Isak? Brighton have been awful defensively. They have. Brighton have been shocking, and also Newcastle have been good. Isak, 2 goals in 3 games, so he's in decent form. He's definitely a captaincy shout, you know? I'm not going to say why not, because he is in my captaincy shouts. For me, I just really like the look of Marmoush this game week. Daniel Foon says, Raya and Munoz or Martinez and Saliba? Raya and Munoz for sure. Tahia and Sifat says, shall I pick Savinho over Mateta in my lineup? No, definitely don't. Mateta is a much better pick this game week. Alex Escobedo, no love for a Rashford to Asensio for your team. With Rashford out and with the data he has, he could be a bit underrated. Yeah, I just really like Bowen. I think Bowen is such a good shout. You know, I could go for Mbumo as well. And, you know, both of those players are, in my opinion, much better FPL assets than Asensio. FPL Hawk, your brother plays in the MLS. Yes, he does, yeah. He plays for Austin FC in the MLS. His name's John Gallagher. He has the same last name as me, believe it or not. Daniel Foon, greetings from Malaysia. Oh, hello from Malaysia. Raya and Munoz or Martinez and Saliba? Raya and Munoz for sure. I think I answered that already as well. João Pereira, problem with Asensio is still X minutes. 100% agree. Rashford out helps with Watkins X minutes. Doesn't do that much for Asensio, I think. Yeah, 100% agree. That's kind of my thinking as well. You just said it much more better and eloquently than me. The Gunner guy says, if you had assistant manager, would you get Glasner for this week? He has table bonus. I think it's definitely a great pick. Honestly, like, this fixture I do think is great for Crystal Palace. My only concern is that you would have to transfer out Glasner for the next week straight away, because they're both, you know, the fixture is so close to their FA Cup game. So I would say Glasner is a great pick for this game week, depending on, you know, if you're just getting him now or not. 123 says bench 8 Nuri for Gvardiol. Yeah, definitely start Gvardiol for sure. Stephen Gill, I think people are underestimating the United defence. They are 4th for expected goals conceded in the last 6, and even with rotation, the predicted lineup looks strong. I didn't know they were 4th for expected goals conceded in the last 6. I'd be interested to see where you saw that stat, but that is definitely something to consider. Min Bui says, do you think Mateta to Wissa or Saka to Mbumo is a better choice? I'm chasing, by the way. Yeah, I think Saka to Mbumo is the better choice, but if you're chasing, I would do Saka to Bowen. That's what I would do if you're chasing. I don't think Mateta is a sell this game week. Anonymous L, hey Stephen, current headaches on my team are Rashford and Solanke, with only 1 free transfer. I'm chasing 29 points. Is Rashford to Elanga better than taking a hit and getting Bowen, for example? Rival has Mbumo. If I was you, in your situation, I would go Rashford to Bowen and Solanke to Wissa. If you already have Wissa, then I actually think Wood is a good shout because he plays Leicester at home next game week. Sohail Andrum, 142k rank, really nice. I've transferred out Palmer for Mbumo and captain him. Which two to start between Kluivert, Murphy and Cunha? Yeah, I love the transfer of Palmer to Mbumo. First of all, good to see you back in the chat. Which two to start between Kluivert, Murphy and Cunha? It's a tough one. I'd probably start Cunha for sure. Then it's between Kluivert and Murphy. I think I prefer Murphy. You know, I just think Newcastle are in such a good vein of form, and I can't necessarily say the same for Bournemouth. You know, I know Kluivert has that penalty potential, but his non-penalty expected data is actually quite poor. I'd go for Murphy and Cunha there. Let me know what you think though, because I know you're very clued into the FPL sphere, and yeah, what's your thoughts if you're deciding between those three, who to start? Terry McLarney on Wildcard, Watkins or Isak for a run-in? I think Isak. I think he's the better FPL asset. I know a lot of people going for Watkins. I don't fancy it particularly. Parvez Robin, O'Brien or Mikolenko? I can get one in the team, please help. Well, you'll be happy to know that I actually had to make that decision too this week. One of those is coming into my team, and it's O'Brien, because his data over the past 10 game weeks and actually over the season is better from an attacking perspective. Only slightly so. Only slightly better, but that's just enough for me to make the decision, and also I can afford it. If budget is an issue, then obviously Mikolenko is the one to go for. Gita Advani, want to bench from Gvardiol, Munoz, Kiwior and Konsa. Already have, and then you stop saying something, so I'd assume you maybe say already have Raya. Yeah, I would probably bench, it's between Kiwior and Konsa. I'd be starting Gvardiol and Munoz. Between Kiwior and Konsa, I'd probably bench Kiwior if you already have Raya. Who to bench, Asensio or Mateta? Definitely bench Asensio and start Mateta. Yeah. James, Savinho, Saka or Marino to Mbumo and Shade. I would say Saka, and between Savinho and Marino, take your pick. I mean, probably Marino, because Savinho doesn't have all the extra fixtures, as in Man City don't have other games, besides obviously, you know, FA Cup and whatnot. But I would say, yeah, Saka and Marino to Mbumo and Shade. Go for it. Stephen Gill, has your brother Brexit tackled Messi? He's actually never played Messi. Not yet anyways, so maybe he'll play him in the Cup this year, we hope. And I hope he doesn't give him a Brexit tackle, because people will have his head for that. Bison Ravi, I hope you're doing well. Thanks very much. I hope you're doing well. Data-wise, who has the higher ceiling between Bowen and Isak as a captain? By the way, I plan on bringing in Wissa, Mbumo and Bowen for Saka, Mateta and Savinho. But FOMO about KDB. I think those transfers are brilliant. Yeah, don't worry about KDB. You've got Mbumo and Bowen. They're two great picks. Between Bowen and Isak as a captain, who has the higher ceiling? I just prefer captain in midfielders, so I'm going to go for Bowen. There. Am I crazy benching... 123 says, am I crazy benching Cunha for Elanga? A little bit. Not really, but I'd say a little bit. Just because Cunha's got them penalties, you know? You got to go for that. Mr. Happy, Bowen in for Sarr or Wissa in for Mateta? Yeah, I'd say Bowen in for Sarr. Definitely like that one. I don't think Mateta's a good sell this game week. Mohamed Hasif, I don't know to captain Marmoush or Bowen. Planning to captain Mbumo versus Ipswich next week, by the way. Yeah, for me it's between Marmoush and Bowen. Let me know what one you're leaning towards. I'm leaning towards Marmoush as things stand. Jeevan Gill, FPL Raptor said about the United defence in his video. Oh, okay, well then that's a very good source. Tahia and Sifat, your brother plays as right back. Just saw the Austin FC squad. Cheers, mate. Yeah, he's a right back. He loves getting stuck into some tackles and flying up the wing. Offside Footy F1 says, double Arsenal defence is risky given some rotations are coming. My thoughts were Burn over Saliba, I think you mean. Brighton conceded 65% from right wing and striker. Potential Isak, Murphy, Halls. Isak was frustrated and would be motivated. Yeah, I do think Isak will haul. Yeah, I think he's an underrated captain this week, to be honest. Yeah, I fully agree. Daniel Foon, Isak, Marmoush, Bowen and Mbumo. Who will you pick for captain? Need to take some risk, but I'm just behind leader in my mini group by 1 point. What will you do? I'm going to go for Marmoush. The reason is I think he'll score the most points. That's it. It was between Marmoush and Bowen for me. And actually, to be honest, if you have Mbumo, I think he'll probably outscore Marmoush. Realistically, he's on we kind of know Marmoush is on penalties, but also Mbumo just has, you know, the midfielder plus. The fact that he's a midfielder, he gets more points for everything, for goals and for clean sheet. I'd say Mbumo. He'll probably be the most captain player this week. Freddie W. Debating to do Verbruggen to Pickford for a -4 hit to bench Raya. Whoa, okay. I don't think that's worth a -4. For a keeper transfer, I wouldn't do that. It's okay to start Raya. Daniel G. George, Saliba or Munoz to start? I'd probably start Munoz. Varfiel, you captaining Bowen this week? I currently have it on Marmouche. That's my plan. But Bowen's a serious shout. Daniel also says, Areola or Sells? I'd be starting probably Sells. Yeah. Daily Archives, do you play MLS Fantasy? Lol. No, I haven't actually gotten into it yet. Do you play it? Let me know if it's any good. I spend too much time on this game. Don't have time. Kevin Halim, Saka to Mbumo for free? Oh yeah, go for it. Love that move. Mr. Happy, Bowen in for Sar or Wissa in for Mateta? I think I answered this already. Bowen in for Sar is the move. Sohail, thank you. To be honest, it's a very tricky one. City and Newcastle are pushing to solidify their Champions League places, and Arsenal have nothing to play for. Fully agree. Which was why I was thinking of benching Cunha. Yeah, I get that. I 100% get that. I think the Cunha hype is a bit overrated. I know he's been really good recently, but when you look at Wolves' last 7 fixtures, they actually played the 7 teams in the bottom of the table. Like literally the 7 teams at the bottom. So no wonder he was playing well. Yeah, I fully agree. Daniel G. George, should I do Mateta to Wissa for a -4? I think Mateta's a good hold this game week. I also think Wissa is a good buy, but I just think Mateta, you should hold on to him, especially not for a -4. Anonymous L says, I thought about that, but unfortunately, 0.3 off doing Solanke and Rashford to Wood and Bowen. Could do Wissa instead of Wood. Would have the funds, but rival as already has Wissa. That's a tricky one. I would say do the Rashford to Bowen move. If you can't do that move by itself, then Solanke to, instead of Wissa, maybe just get Wissa anyways, because at the end of the day, you just want the players who get the most points, and Wissa's going to get more points than Solanke, in my opinion. So yeah, I'd still get Wissa in, even though your rival has him. Kevin Halim, do you think Savinho will start? It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. I can't see it happening, honestly. He hasn't played much recently. João Pereira, happy that I'm not alone on the Konate boat. Yikes, I am selling Konate. Just gonna put the dagger in your chest right there, man. Sorry, João. I'm not I'm actually selling Konate this week, but I am keeping Virgil van Dijk. But you have Konate, Gvardiol, and Munoz starting, Konsa and Kiwior, because you're starting Raya on the bench. Sounds good, or would you have different order and why? I love that order. I think you've nailed it. Anonymous L, could also do Elanga and Watkins, or Elanga and Wood, or just Elanga so don't force the hit. I still think you should go for Bowen. Jackie Packy, Jesus. Do you think Ndiaye starts? Yeah, he always plays, doesn't he? I'm not that clued in on the Everton, news, but I feel like he always plays. Daniel Foon, who will be your pick for 11? My starting 11? I'll show you guys very shortly. We still have 30 odd minutes. Wait a minute. I just need to check something because I saw another message from a Paddy O'Callaghan in the chat. So this is the way I can confirm if it's him or not. Do we have the same points? No, we don't. Okay, it's not. Okay, basically, there's a Paddy O'Callaghan in this chat right now, and my best mate is also called Paddy O'Callaghan. But I'll get to your question in a bit. Let me get through everyone else's before I miss them. Mr. Happy, thank you. Gallagher, thank you. Wishing everyone a green arrow. Watching all the way from South Africa. Well, good to hear. Glad you enjoyed the stream. Timber or Nico Williams, says KJAJ4. Timber or Nico Williams? I'd go for Timber. Actually, Nico Williams, just for sure of he's going to play. Min Bui says, will you start Mateta over Rodgers? Yeah, definitely would. Mohamed Bakr, Sells or Areola to start? I'd go for Sells. Jeevan Gill, what's the logic behind Marmouche captain over Bowen? KDB has taken a lot of the set pieces away from him. Yeah, I mean, my only concern is that KDB will take a penalty. In terms of the other set pieces, not ideal. I just think that Marmouche will be spearheading that City attack, and that Man City, they're really in a good, vein of form right now. So I could see them doing some damage. They're just Man City, when I look at captaincy, a big thing for me is who's playing for the best team, and Man City are a better team than West Ham at the end of the day. So I can see them putting some goals behind that that Wolves defense. So, Paddy O'Callaghan, getting to your question finally. How much do you think mini league rivals teams should affect choices for remaining games? Currently on the same points. I think it should be. Oh wait, it is you, Paddy. I just read your new comment. I think it should be a massive part of how you look at your team. Obviously, at the end of the day, you just want the players that get the most points. But let's pull up Paddy's team right now and we'll have a look. Let me know what you guys think he should do. So you've got, I mean, maybe you've already made some transfers, but you've got Salah, Cloyve. Let's start from the top. You got Kepa and Leno, pretty decent. Trent, Aitnuri. Wait, this is your free hit. I'm tripping, bro. Let me go back. Okay, this is your actual team. Okay, you got Henderson and Nets, Gvardiol, Saliba, Konsa, Ruben, Rogers, Sarr, Saka, Watkins, Mateta, Marmoush, Areola, Murphy, Salah, and Byrne. Okay, so your team is in a good place. Like, you've got 2 Man City defenders, which is so nice. And you've got, your midfield is solid. I mean, Saka is the one to go, isn't it? Saka to, I mean, you're probably doing Saka to Mbumo or Saka to Bowen, I'd imagine. Your forward line is great. You got Watkins, Mateta, and Marmoush. Yeah, let me know what you're doing, Paddy, because your team's looking nice. It's probably Saka to Mbumo or Bowen, is what I'd imagine. And hopefully it's not Bowen, because I am getting Bowen and I'm trying to chase you in our mini league. So sorry for airing your team to everyone in the chat though, but had to be done, mate. Had to be done. All right, back to the questions. Let's fly through these. So you say, okay, next one. Colin says, Saka to Mbumo for -4. Have a good team. Just thinking biting the -4 this week would be worth the potential. I agree with you. I think Saka to Mbumo for a -4 is a good move. Okay, Sohail says, my thoughts on your Marmoush captaincy. He only hauled when he played behind Haaland or on the left wing. Haaland was the main striker. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, it's worth taking into account. I'm willing to. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, I'm willing to take the risk on Marmoush. I just think City will score the most goals this game week. And also, when we look at a lot of the models that we like to look at for these kind of things, we can see that City are predicted to score the most goals of any team. And if City are scoring those goals, I'd expect either Marmoush or KDB to be involved. And because Marmoush is on penalties, I'm going to go for him. So that's kind of my thought process there. That's how I like to approach things. But yeah, flying through some of these questions. Paddy, I just see you sent in Sarr to Mbumo. The fact that you can afford that is brilliant. So yeah, you don't even have to sell Saka. You can keep him, which is nice. So yeah, Sarr to Mbumo. I'm actually quite happy to have Sarr this game week, so I hope that comes to bite you in the ass. But it's still a good move. Like, I don't have Mbumo, and I'm not getting him because I'm trying to do something different. If I was ranked, top 100k, even like top 10, 50k in the world, I'd probably just be getting Mbumo in this week, but I'm not, so I'm going to go for Bowen. Okay, moving on through the questions. Jeffrey Livingston says, Savinha to Bowen -4. Alternative is starting both Sarr and Mateta. 35k and protecting a 14-point mini league lead. Okay, that's a great rank. You're in a great spot. Savinha to Bowen for a -4. Alternative starting Sarr and Mateta. I wouldn't do the -4. I know Bowen's a great pick this game week, but I think starting Sarr and Mateta is fine. I do think that Crystal Palace will do bits against this Nottingham Forest defence. Hopefully, I mean, I've been saying it all stream and I've been thinking it all week, especially after the game yesterday. So, yeah, I'd say start both Sarr and Mateta. Mohamed Hassif, start Raya or Sells? Start Raya. I would say Daniel Foon, who will be your pick for 11? Okay, you're just sending me your whole team. Okay, I'll read it. There's a lot of questions coming in though. So okay, let me read your whole team. You got Martinez and Raya. I'd start probably Raya. Defense is Mikolenko, Munoz, Saliba, Livramento, Gvardiol. So I would start Gvardiol, Mikolenko, and Munoz. Those would be my back three. Midfield, so we have to bench how many of these? We have to bench one of these guys. So Mbumo, Salah, Rogers, Eze, Bowen, and then Marmoush, Wissa, Isak. Yeah, I'd probably bench Rogers then. Okay, that's how I'd line up. Wasim Rumjan, would you do, sorry, I can't read, what am I saying? Would you do Saka to Bowen or Mbumo? Now, for me, this depends on where you are in your mini league or what your goals are for your overall rank. If you're trying to protect your rank, I would get Mbumo. If you're trying to get something a bit differential, I would go for Bowen. And that's why I'm going for Bowen, because I need to gain rank. Offside Footy F1, thoughts on De Bruyne captain? He looks set to start every game in his last season. Emotions sometimes bring out the best, and he wants to showcase his form to European giants for a contract. Okay, first of all, I love the narrative around this. You always bring a nice little, a good reason and a narrative to your suggestions. So yeah, I love that. I mean, it is such a good point. Like, he is playing for a contract right now. He's been on amazing money for the past however many years, and he's going to want to keep staying at that money, and he's not going to get a good contract, as good a contract as he is, unless he performs to a really high level over the rest of the season, basically. So De Bruyne captain is definitely a shout. In terms of De Bruyne versus Marmoush, like I have in my team, De Bruyne could be that guy this game week. He could be that guy. Like, he's a midfielder, and I do always prefer, when it's a 50-50, to captain the midfielder. So I may be making a mistake going for Marmoush. I just see him taking penalties, so I'm going to go for him. But I still think De Bruyne is a great pick. Craig Anderson, hey, I have assistant manager for the next 3 weeks. Pep or Moyes? Anyone else I'm missing? I think Pep's the best one. I think Pep this week and next, and then change him to someone like Potter or Hertzler in game week 37. That's what I would do. Naz says, Sells or Raya? I'd go for Raya. Daniel Foon, thanks so much for your advice. Greetings from Malaysia. Love your content. Thanks so much. I'm glad you liked the stream. Freddie W, which one of Sarr or Mateta to start and why? I'd start Mateta because he's got penalties. Nelson Ruteruka says, hello, who is the best Rashford replacement? Depending on who you can afford. Like, maybe reply, Nelson, with how much money you have in the bank when you sell Rashford. Because if you have enough to get Mbumo, then he's the best replacement. If you have enough to get Bowen, he's the next best replacement. Let me know how much money you have. David Nekovar says, hi, good evening. Who would you start in goal, Raya or Pope? I'd start Raya. Yeah, I'd start Raya there. Robert Mulali, sell Salah for Mbumo for this game week. Selling Salah is not something that I would really consider, to be honest, Robert. I love Mbumo. I just think, I'm actually just reading your next question now. So Salah to Mbumo just closed a 65-point lead to go second in my mini league. That's amazing. Using a triple captain last week with Cunha, so it's game on. That is crazy. Up the Irish, great content, by the way. Really appreciate it. Okay, triple captain on Mbumo last week, on Cunha last week. Congrats. That is absolutely mad. And now I can see you're a bit of a risk taker because you're looking at Salah to Mbumo. For me, Salah is just one of those players that I'm going to hold in my team no matter what. I'm going to hold, because what else would I do with the money? There's I'm not going to get Haaland because he's, kind of coming back from injury. What else would I do with the money? I think there's other ways to get Mbumo in your squad. I hope there is anyways. Tommy Jake says the same question 4 times in a row. It's okay, you don't need to spam it. There's only so many people in this stream. Assistant managership, any suggestions? Like 2. 2 suggestions. Okay, my suggestion would be Pep. If not Pep, then I like Glasner this game week. But I would have to, think of moving Glasner on after next game week. Oran Martin says, currently ranked 7th in Ireland. Would you do O'Brien, Diaz, and Sarr, Kevin De Bruyne? Oh, sorry, O'Brien to Diaz. Is that what you mean? Sorry? You're ranked 7 in Ireland. First of all, that is madness. That is brilliant. Congratulations. So I think you're saying O'Brien to Diaz, which is not something I would do. I'm thinking of getting O'Brien into my team, so I wouldn't do that. The other transfer you said was Sarr to KDB. I understand that one, to be fair. I do understand that one, but I actually think Sarr is a good hold this game week. Obviously, I also think, just to clarify, I think KDB will outscore Sarr. So if you can do Sarr to KDB for free, then I'd go for it. Harry says, thoughts on Sarr to Bowen? Thoughts on Sarr to Bowen? I love it, yeah. I think Bowen's a great pick this game week. Bowen for Diaz or Marmoush for Isak? Oh, Bowen for Diaz all day. I love Isak as a pick, and I love Bowen as a pick. Marmoush is great, but I still think Bowen, the combination of Bowen and Isak is great. Cherry says, hey, hello to you. I'm on Wildcard. Should I get Isak or Watkins? For me, I like Isak. Like I keep saying, people have been saying Isak's not in great form, He's scored 2 goals in the past 3 games. So it kind of shows you what we expect from him as a striker. I'd say Isak is the better pick than Watkins, and he's shown that all season. I don't think that's going to change all of a sudden. And Newcastle are just in flying form. They're gunning for that Champions League spot. Okay, next up, your name is in a different language, so I'm not even going to try to say that. I have 2 free transfers and want to sell Saka and Savio. Which 2 of Bowen, Mbumo, De Bruyne would you buy? Oh, I'd go Bowen and Mbumo. I love De Bruyne as a pick, but I just think the other 2 are locked in. Expected minutes through the roof, 90-minute men. Yeah, it's got to be Bowen and Mbumo. And they both play teams who are rotating for the Europa League. I love it. Nelson says, I don't have enough for Mbumo or Bowen. I have 7 million in the bank if I sold Rashford. Yeah, maybe someone like a Kluivert this week could be good for the long run. I like him as a pick. Cool Chris says, Murphy or Sarr to Bowen. Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. That may be one of the toughest questions of the stream so far. So, and also you have Rodgers. No, I'd hold Rodgers. Between Murphy and Sarr, I'd probably go Sarr to Bowen, just because Murphy, Sarr will have that fixture coming up. He will have that FA Cup fixture, so we could see rotation in the Crystal Palace side, whereas Murphy and Newcastle are just focusing on the Premier League now. Tommy Jakes, thanks bro, no problem at all. Glad you came to the stream. Charlie Mulcrone says, love the content. Best bench one of Salah, well not Salah, Rodgers, Eze, Bowen, Mbumo, Mateta, Marmoush, Isak. Yeah, it'd probably be Rodgers there. To be honest, it's between Rodgers and Eze, and I'd bench Rodgers there. Yeah, but otherwise your attack looks very strong. You've got Bowen and Mbumo. Love that. Thanks for your answer. You're doing a good stream. Thanks very much, David. Harry says Sarr to Bowen, Murphy to Bowen, or Rodgers to Bowen. If you can afford Rodgers to Bowen and keep Sarr and Murphy, would I do that? I'd probably go Sarr to Bowen. That would be my answer to your question, because obviously Crystal Palace have that fixture coming up. There will be rotation, whereas not so much for Murphy and Rodgers. Mr. Happy, Marino and Palmer out for Bowen and Mbumo. Let me just mute my phone real quick. No more notifications. Can just focus on the FPL. We have only got 20 minutes to go, by the way, guys, before I answer the rest of these questions. 20 minutes to go until the deadline. I think with 5 minutes to go, I'll show you guys my transfers. I'll lock in my team and we'll be good to go. All right. Sarr to Bowen. Okay, no, I already answered that. Mr. Happy, back to your question. Marino and Palmer out for Bowen and Mbumo and a replacement for Konate. Okay, Marino and Palmer out for Bowen and Mbumo is a fantastic set of moves. Love that. Replacement for Konate. I like a nice little Everton defender this game week, and I'll show you. I'm actually going to be getting one in. I like O'Brien as a pick. Robert Mullally. Okay, man, thanks for the feedback. No problem at all. No problem at all, Robert. Cool Chris. Sarr, Murphy, or Rodgers to Bowen? I think I answered this question to someone else. I think Sarr to Bowen is the play. Semtex Pat. Either Savinho, Sarr to Bowen, or Mateta to Wissa. I would say Savinho to Bowen, and I wouldn't do Mateta to Wissa this week. I think maybe next week it's a good time. But this week, Mateta against Forest at home, it's not a bad fixture. Cherry says, thanks mate, no problem at all. Nelson Ruteruka says, or the better option is to keep Rashford and replace Saka with Bowen. Oh, now we're talking. Now we're getting into some nitty gritty here. Yeah, listen, I think we know Rashford's not going to play. We know he's not going to play. If you can do Saka to Bowen and then Rashford to Mbumo, let me know, Nelson. I hope you're still in chat. If you can afford Rashford and Saka to Bowen and Mbumo, that would be great. Let me know if you can do that. Mr. Happy, triple captain FPL Gallagher. Can't triple captain myself, unfortunately. I only play Sunday League. No, triple captain. I think Marmoush next game week is what I would go with. That's what I'm thinking of doing. I still have the triple captain left. So let's hope it works out. Marmoush against Southampton away. Okay, next question is Mbumo or... sorry, Harry said thanks for the response, mate. No problem at all. Always welcome. Tokurist says, Mbumo or Marmoush, which one is better for captain? I think Mbumo is a better captain. I'm sad I don't have him, but I don't, unfortunately. I think he's a better captain than Marmoush. He's probably the best captain this game week. Jeevan Gill, why not Brentford defence over Everton? Everton is just such a better defence than Brentford's. Yeah, the fixtures are amazing. Yeah, I'd say Everton is a much better defence. Khadiza Yasmin, hi, would you do Saka and Sarr to Mbumo and Bowen, or Sarr and Mateta to Mbumo and Wissa? I like Saka and Sarr to Mbumo and Bowen. Whoopsie. I like that move. I think it's probably the go-to. I think Mateta is probably a hold for this game week. The question is essentially Sarr or Mateta. Who do we think will score more points this game week? Because I think you know, Wissa and Bowen probably closer. No, actually, I take that back. I think Mbumo and Bowen will outscore Mbumo and Wissa. And I also think Mateta will outscore Sar. So, there you go. Semtex, is Savinho going to play? I wish I could tell you. Before we get too stuck into things, let me just check if there is any team leaks. Because obviously, Man City have been known to have some team leaks in the past. So let's see. I know this guy always has a little Man City team leak. Nothing so far. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. Let's also check out Emma at Jump the Wave. She has her predicted lineups out. Her predicted lineups are brilliant, by the way. So let's have a quick little look if she has these ones. Okay, these are brilliant. So first of all, I know a lot of people will be interested in Arsenal starting lineups. Raya, White, Saliba, Kiwior, and then it's, you know, Zinchenko, Tierney, you know, Lewis Skelly. Whoever's going to play left back, we don't know. But the other three seem pretty locked in. Saka's a 0%. No one thinks Saka will play. Going through your questions. So you asked about Savinho. Savio only has a 25% chance of starting, according to all the predictors. So, yeah, doesn't look likely. 1 in 4 chance. Not something I'd be willing to bet on. Yeah, unfortunately, Semtex. Mr. B, start Cunha or Rodgers? I have triple Man City in start. I think you mean Man City. Yeah, I still think I'd start Cunha. Yeah, just in case. Because if Wolves are going to score, he's going to be involved. We know that. Nelson says, I can afford it, but I only have one free transfer. I think you should do it for the hit. I think Rashford and Saka to Mbumo and Bowen. I'd do that for a -4. I would. Greg Cronin. Well, Stephen. Hello, Greg. Welcome back to the stream. 2 free transfers. Looking at transferring out Saka and Marino to Mbumo and Bowen. Tempted with a -4 for an Everton defender for Konate. Oh, okay. So if you can do the Saka and Marino to Mbumo and Bowen for free, that is a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. The other move in terms of getting Konate to, you know, someone like O'Brien or Mikolenko, I don't think it's worth a -4 because that's a clean sheet. That's the points you get for a clean sheet. So you're basically betting that no matter what, O'Brien or Mikolenko, Everton will get a clean sheet. I just don't think that's worth the -4, to be honest with you. Zach McParland, but just to answer Greg, the first 2 transfers are great. I'd definitely do it. Zach McParland says Saka to Bowen, Marino to Mbumo, and Konate to Everton defender for a -4, or is that overkill? I think all of those are great moves. If you can do the Saka and Bowen to Marino and Mbumo without doing Konate to an Everton defender, you know, if you can afford that, I would do it. But if you can't, that's essentially what Greg just asked as well. To answer both you guys, if you can't do those 3 moves without taking the -4, I would do it. I would take the -4. But if you can do the moves without the, you know, if you can avoid the Konate to the Everton defender move, then I wouldn't do that one. Yeah, hope that answers your question. CG4, hi mate, would you consider Rodgers, Elanga or Gibbs White better for a wild card this week, using bench boost next week, and Forest have the better fixture than Villa? Yeah, I like Elanga. He's in my wild card draft, so I'd say him. Harry, last question, I promise. Don't feel bad at all. Always happy to have more questions in. Not seen anyone mention it yet. Aston Villa defence this week, Newcastle or Crystal Palace? Well, I'm glad you asked. So we have Aston Villa, Newcastle or Crystal Palace. Let's go over to the clean sheet odds. So Aston Villa have 31%, Newcastle have 20%, and who was the other one that you mentioned? Crystal Palace have, it's probably so clear to see, 29%. So it looks like Aston Villa have the highest chance of a clean sheet, followed by Crystal Palace. So hopefully that answers your question. Let me go through the rest. I'll keep this page on because it's quite useful for a lot of people to help with their benching decisions. Semtex Pat, cheers brother, no problem at all lad, no problem at all. Robert Mullally, Raya or Henderson to start? Oh, okay. Arsenal have a 29% chance of a clean sheet. Crystal Palace also have a 29% chance. That's tough. What I will say is that, you look at that, it's a really close one. It's a really close one. I would say Raya, just because if the clean sheet odds are that close, it's because, they take everything into consideration with these models. But at the end of the day, Raya and Arsenal are a better defence than Crystal Palace, so I'd go for Raya. That's what I would do. That's my thought process there. Going back to, I'll keep this on, like I said. I'll keep this on. Okay. Nelson Dunn, thanks a lot for the response. You've really helped me out. No problem at all. I'm glad I could help. Yeah, I like those moves, you mate. Really like those moves. FPL Mufasa says Livramento versus Konsa. I'd probably start Konsa there. Yasmin D, hey, hope all is well. Thanks very much. Hope all is well with you too. Would you go for O'Brien or Mikolenko from Everton? I said this already. I'd go for O'Brien. I think just his data is slightly better over the past 10 game weeks and the season. Offside Footy F1, Mbumo Isak Bowen, afternoon kickoff. Gandhi says never back an early kickoff. I'm leaning towards Marmoush captain. Yeah, it's tempting me too. I've currently got it on Marmoush as well. So we're in this together, man. Wasim Rumjohn says chasing first spot in the league. Saka to Bowen, Mateta to Wissa for -4. I would just do Saka to Bowen. I don't think Mateta to Wissa is worth it this game week, but next week I would be shipping Mateta on. I think he has a fine fixture this game week. Okay, Harry says, thanks mate, fingers crossed for a green hour for both of us this week. Let's hope so. Fingers are crossed, definitely. Harry Widup says, would you do Saka and Savinho to 2 of either Bowen and Mbumo and De Bruyne for a -4? And if so, which 2 would you bring in? It'd be Bowen and Mbumo, and yes, I would do that for a -4. Really like those moves. Greg Cronin, cheers lads. Still sticking with your captaincy ranking. Mbumo number 1. I am. I do think Mbumo is the best captain this game week, but I don't have him, so I'm going Marmoush because I think he's the second best. Robert Mullally, my reasoning for the Salah sale was the league is done. He isn't in the best of form, and I have Diaz too. Yeah, no, I get it. There's always going to be a good reason to do something like that when a player is out of form. It makes sense selling him, but I just think it's Mo Salah. It's Mo Salah. What else will you do with the extra money is my question. That's kind of what I'm thinking. It is a great differential though if you're chasing, but imagine that, he pops off and everyone else in your league has him. I think there's other ways to differentiate your team outside of Salah is my thought process. Sam Boy says, who to captain, Mbumo, Isak, KDB or Marmoush? Mbumo is the best captain this week in my opinion, followed by Marmoush, and then Salah, and then probably Bowen, and then Isak. That would be my order. Shivam, start Konate or Konsa? It looks like Aston Villa have a higher clean sheet odd, so I'd probably start Konsa. Yeah, I don't know though, like Chelsea haven't been that great recently, and I know Liverpool, I think they'll start their full team. Any City team news? Let us have a quick look, some boys. Let us have a quick look if there is any City team news. First of all, this is the predicted lineup for Man City. If you want to go to @JumpTheWave, Emma on Twitter, you can check this out yourself before I scroll on. Quick little look on the way as we check out the expected lineup for Liverpool. Van Dijk is only at 92%. Not massive. Not massively convincing. Konate 60. Yeah, it looks like there will be a lot of chopping and changing, but Alexander-Arnold actually the highest percentage for all of the Liverpool defenders. So the question is there any Man City team news? I'll go to my homepage very quickly and see if there is anything. Okay, doesn't look like it. Wait, let me refresh this page real quick. Okay, so we do know that Marmoush starts, according to this. Marmoush starts, Haaland doesn't. Need a KDB leak to captain in. Me too, Gianni. Me too. I'm gonna start Marmoush anyways and captain him. So we know Marmoush is starting. That's all we know, guys. Before I forget, I'm gonna make my transfers. So the moves are as follows. I'm getting my fellow Irishman in, Jake O'Brien, get into my team, and then I'm getting Bowen in. And he's shagging Danny Dyer. All right, let's get him in. Make these transfers. Who did I do? Make sure I did Rashford out. I was just making sure. I want Bowen. Get him in. All right, guys, this is my first -4 of the season. Could you believe it? This is literally my first -4 of the season. I haven't made one yet, so it's time to bite the bullet and go for it. Konate and Rashford to Bowen and O'Brien. -4. Confirmed transfers. There we go. And I think I'll line up like this. So let me just leave that on the screen for you guys to enjoy, marvel at it. This team is going to be on all of your screens when you see the highest points team this game week. No, probably not, based off how the rest of my season has gone. So, any other questions, guys? Greg says, bench and headaches. Start Sar or Rogers? Also Burn or Kanate? In terms of those, I would say, who's expected to score more goals, Sar or Rogers? So Villa have a 1.8 chance. Crystal Palace have a 1.5 chance. I still think I'd start Sar. I think models are underestimating how bad Forest defense is right now. Yeah, and Fulham defense is actually quite decent. And then the other question you had was, has slipped my mind, sorry, Greg. Burn or Konate? Okay, so let's look at this. Burn has, and Newcastle have 20% chance of a clean sheet. Liverpool have 16%. I'd probably go for Burn there. Yeah, I'm changing my mind. I think looking at the new, team leaks, not team leaks, but predicted lineups, it looks like Konate only has a 60% chance of starting, according to all the predictors. So yeah, I'd probably start Burn there because we know he's going to play. Ellie John says Haaland is back, but we know Haaland isn't starting. According to all of our sources, we see Haaland doesn't start, Marmoush does. As always, please use leaks at your own discretion. So these are great, by the way. FPL newsletter, a great, a great Twitter page, whatever you want to call it, a great account. There's the word. Yeah, thank you for your service. I agree. So guys, Marmoush starts and Haaland doesn't. There you go. That's the only team news I have currently. Okay, 5 minutes. That was my alarm. I hope that didn't ring in your ears too badly. My alarm for 5 minutes to go until the deadline. I'm going to leave this up as like the last thing so everyone who comes on can see Haaland doesn't start and Marmoush does. Okay, moving on with some of the questions. Captain Mbumo, Salah, Marmoush or Isak? Gotta be Marmoush for me. Gotta be Marmoush. I actually think Mbumo is probably the better captain, but going for something different here. I think a lot of people will captain this guy, Mbumo. So I want to check very quickly. Do Brighton have a higher clean sheet odd than Arsenal? No, they don't. Nowhere near. Yeah. Don't know why I was even questioning that. Don't know what I was thinking there, guys. Lost the plot. Okay. FPL Buna gives the most reliable leaks. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a few trolls. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but I know there's like an FPL page that give a lot of troll leaks that just try to catch people. Is that who I'm thinking of, Jeevan? Maybe it is. Tokuris, bro, Luis Diaz or Murphy, which one should I bench? I'd probably bench Luis Diaz. I think he'll get a bench in himself, so that's why he needs some rest. Okay. Would you bench Murphy or Rogers, says Yasmin. I'd probably bench Rogers there. Sean says, start Raya or Martinez? I'd start Raya there. Yeah, I'd probably start Raya. Actually, sorry. I want to give you a proper answer, Sean. So let me look at these predicted clean sheet odds. It looks actually like Aston Villa have higher clean sheet odds. Only by 2%, but if you're a data-backed manager, you're going to put Martinez over Raya, just based off that, So I would say start Martinez, Konsa or Kiwior. Again, maybe if you want to mix it up slightly, pick one from each, not double Arsenal and double Aston Villa. I would probably say the most attacking one between Konsa and Kiwior. Probably Konsa has better attacking threat. I'm not sure about the data. Maybe it's something you can check very quickly yourself, but whoever has the best attacking data between Konsa and Kiwior, I'd start one of them. And, maybe I'd just start Martinez anyways, because between him and Raya, if the clean sheet odds are so close, Martinez is a great penalty saver, so he could also save a penalty if Fulham were to get one. So, moving on through the questions, Captain Bowen or Mbumo, says Chaotic. I'd go for I'd go for Mbumo, but I love Bowen. I love him as a pick. Sam Boys, I need to find out if KDB starts. I want to captain him. I think he'll be safe to start. Let's go quickly through before we absolutely commit to everything. Guys, we only have 2 minutes, by the way, 2 minutes. I'm just going to fly through these predicted lineups. So I want to see Kevin De Bruyne's predicted start based off all these predictors that at Jump the Wave Emma on Twitter provides. De Bruyne has a 100% chance of starting, according to all these predictors. Now, it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 predictors, but you know, it's probably the hardest team in the league to predict. But if 100% of people are saying he will, I think that's enough to go for me. So yeah, I think if you want to captain De Bruyne, don't be afraid that he won't start. I think he will. Offside Footy F1, Marmouche versus Bowen captain. Feels like tough choice, mate. Going with your choice. Hoping for a green hour at 145k. Good luck, everyone. Yeah, good luck to you too. Yeah, I'm going for Marmouche. It feels like the play. Feels like the play to me. Show you guys my team very quickly before we lock it in. Any more team leaks before? Okay, looks like the page is actually down. The page is actually down, guys, so beware of that. Okay, we're back. Because sometimes that happened a lot last year, actually, where the page would go down with 1 minute to go and people would be freaking out because they couldn't make their transfers. But yeah, this is how I'm lining up. I mean, looking at that, Man City have very high clean sheet odds, so I'm happy to start Gvardiol. Virgil van Dijk, is it one that I want to start? I think I'm going to start him anyways because Chelsea, they're kind of in between European games too. I don't think Liverpool, they have nothing else to play for, so they might as well try to get a few more clean sheets. The players are still playing for you know, they're still professional footballers. They're not just going to give up. So yeah, I'm happy to start Liverpool there. But yeah, guys, lock your teams in. We only have a few seconds to go. In fact, I'm going to check how many seconds we have exactly. Down to the second. Yeah, we're up. It is time. We are done now. That is the deadline. So I hope everyone locked in their teams. I hope you got your captain in. Yeah, let me know if you didn't. Hopefully you did. Everyone here, I'm sure, already did. Jeevan says app is still up. Alex Escobedo says KDB starts, Savinho benched. I mean, do we have confirmation of that? Let's see. Let's see if we do. It doesn't look like we do have confirmation of that. Oh, here we go. I mean, is this... I mean, these guys are actually pretty reliable. This was actually 59 minutes ago. I should have showed you guys this earlier, but I'm only seeing this now. Yeah. Is this your leak announcement or is this your transfer confirmation or announcement? No and no. Captain announcement. Excuse me. There was a bit of clickbait, I think. I think a bit of clickbait. They wanted to see if people would get, you know, people would captain him just because they think he's going to... They were kind of making it look like they knew he was going to start. To be honest, I think we all assume he's going to start. I think we can all assume he is going to start. So, yeah, let me post my my team selection very quickly. This is it. And I think I should probably take a screenshot of this before it's gone, because if I refresh the page, it will go. So let me get this team locked in and post it on my Twitter. Guys, follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, because sometimes when life is really busy, and especially with work, because sometimes I have to work weekends, stuff like that, I don't actually get to do these deadline streams. So this is your way to see, you know, what team I kind of go for, and I can answer some of your questions on Twitter too. So here we go. That is tweeted. We are out. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. I think successful stream. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Good luck to everyone. And yeah, I hope everyone smashes it this week and enjoy your weekend above all else. FPL is only a small part of your weekend, so hope everyone enjoys it. Offside Footy says KDB 2022, 4 goals against Wolves. I actually do remember that. That was amazing. Could be a special night for him tonight. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I hope it is a special night for him and Marmouche. I hope he scores, you know, I hope he scores a hat-trick, and so does Marmouche, and they both assist each other. So let's see how it goes. Good luck, everyone. I'm good.